Course Plus. Expressway to elegant career.
Identifying your bad habits. All of us have a vice. Some of us are smokers. Some of us are overeaters. Some of us spend too much money. The unfortunate fact is that most of us are usually trying to find a way to cope with the stresses that creep up on us during daily life. Maybe we aren't strong enough to handle them on our own. At least that's what we tell ourselves. And in ways this can be true, but filling the void with negative habits and behaviors isn't what we need. What we need most during times like these is a good support system. We need people on our side telling us that we can keep going even when we feel we are destined to fail. Not only that, but we need to be on our side as well. So many of us talk horribly to ourselves. We stop believing we are capable of doing great things, or we feel overwhelmed and discouraged and don't see any point in continuing to try. We can get so beaten down and frustrated by the way things are going that sometimes we might even want to hurt ourselves a little bit. And that's what we do when we indulge ourselves in our bad habits. It can be quite discouraging to be a part of modern society, especially the way that marketing campaigns can so often try and tell us that the only way we will be good enough is by using their products. We have to steel ourselves against the pressures of consumerist culture and do our best to stay focused on what is best for us, not anybody else. To do so, we have to identify our vices, so we know how to prepare for them. We have to stop and identify our triggers. What are the things that cause us to crave our vices? What situations or relationships are causing us to want to do things that are harmful to ourselves and our overall state of being? How can we begin to address these situations in a more positive way rather than by falling back on a vice that we know is only going to hurt us in the long run? Dealing with stress is the goal of this training. But if you don't realize the things that are causing you stress and have a plan to press pause before reacting with a negative coping mechanism, then it will not work. The first step in improving yourself is to know yourself. That is one of the most important things you can do, especially when you are working on creating the life you want. Don't beat yourself up for having a vice. The more terrible you feel about it, the more difficult it will be to break yourself of it. It can become a very powerful and negative cycle of bad habit fueling bad feelings that cause additional stress that makes you crave your vice even more. Instead, work on practicing forgiveness and accountability. Know that you have a weakness, and if you fall back into using it, forgive yourself and try to stay away from it tomorrow. This is why many of the addiction therapies out there focus on the mantra one day at a time. It is important not to overwhelm yourself when you are focusing on improving. And this is something that all of us can do, no matter how badly off we happen to feel. So try to be honest with yourself. Think about what you do to cope with stress in an unhealthy way. Consider how you might want to deal with it differently, and don't beat yourself up when you find that you may slip up once in a while and still revert back to a coping mechanism that you know may not be particularly healthy. There's a fine line between self-care and self-destruction. Some of us may have a hard day and feel we should treat ourselves as a way of caring for ourselves. We may say, I need a glass of wine or I need a cigarette after the day we've had, but this isn't the case. What we need is a coping mechanism that will not be detrimental to us, particularly if you may feel you are struggling with an addiction. Rather than giving yourself self-care in the form of something self-destructive, maybe instead you could try to unwind after a difficult day with a long, comfortable bubble bath or a nice movie. Find other things that you enjoy doing that will give you just as much of a reward as your self-destructive patterns give you. Replace those negative rewards with positive rewards. You will never be gladder you did than when you find yourself walking toward the life you have always envisioned for yourself.